Hi, my name is John Shier. I am a senior security advisor at Sophos working in the office of the CTO. I look at security threat landscape both in the context of our products, but also in the broader sense of the industry and what kinds of threats are impacting our customers, our partners, and the world at large. The dark web is effectively the part of the internet that is not indexed by search engines like Google or Yahoo or Bing. So you simply can't just search for what you're looking for and expect a result. You actually need to know what you're looking for. You need to know the address of the site you're going to prior to going to that site and entering it into your browser. You will need specific software like the Tor browser because in order to access the dark web, you need to be able to navigate the different hops that are in place in order to get onto that eventual target, which is the service you're looking for. The dark web was originally a program funded by DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and it was meant to see if we could basically hide a network underneath the existing clear web that we know and love today. Now, the way that the Tor browser works is it accesses what's called an entry node. And this is the first step into accessing the dark web because much like those old spy movies that we used to see when the call used to come in and they would trace it from one node to the next, well, the dark web really functions in much that same way. When you access the dark web, the first entry node, all it knows about is where you're coming from and your ultimate destination, but it doesn't know the next hop, so it forwards that on to what it thinks is the next hop, eventually getting to the end, which is called an exit node, which throws you directly to the service that you're looking for. Anyone can access the dark web. You can put in a site like Google or Facebook.com or Twitter.com or any of the other clear websites that we know about. They will still get you to that service, but if you want to get to a dark website, you will then need to enter the specific URL, which is usually a 16 character alphanumeric address with a .onion at the end. So that's what makes these specific and special is that .onion. A dark web website can be one of many different things. So on the legal side of things on the dark web, there are ways that journalists can communicate with some of their sources in potentially countries that have repressive regimes or countries that crack down on any kind of political dissent. You also have legitimate websites like news sites, social media sites that have a presence on the dark web as well. This is largely for people who value their anonymity and privacy. In contrast, on the dark side, we have sites and services that are available for all sorts of things. You've got the ability to buy counterfeit goods. You've got the ability to buy breached information. So basically, I can go into your BA or United Airlines account and pilfer all of your miles and book myself a trip. But there are also things like hacking services. There are hackers that advertise on the dark web. Many people prefer to buy their illicit drugs from these marketplaces because of safety reasons. They feel that it's better to buy it from a digital market than maybe going to a dark corner of a bad neighborhood and potentially risking physical harm. So cryptocurrency is the favored method of payment on the dark web. By and large, cyber criminals and the people that trade in illegal goods prefer to use cryptocurrencies because one of the things it provides is that separation from vendor and buyer. This poses a risk because, as we've previously stated, the dark web focuses largely on privacy and anonymity. So it really makes it more difficult for law enforcement agencies to use their traditional means of investigation. Obviously, there are good and bad sides to the dark web. Specifically for the bad side, it poses some challenges and some problems for law enforcement because they can't really use their traditional investigative techniques in order to get a cyber criminal. Maybe that particular user has used the same pseudonym or email address on the clear web. Maybe they've used that Gmail address to register for another service and they're also using it on the dark web. This is how law enforcement is able to start piecing together the necessary clues in order to get any kind of insight into who people are on the dark web. Obviously, that's just the first step. The next steps now are to do the good old detective work that they've been doing for years, which is, hop on discussion forums and see if they can tease out information that way. If they get lucky and maybe somebody's not protected their server well enough, maybe their clear web address gets exposed as well, and now the cops can get a wiretap on that server, or maybe even image the server itself and dig even deeper to find out some other real-life clues about who this person might be. Now, the dark web isn't regional. It's spread globally, and anyone can have access regardless of where they are. What's impactful about the dark web is it's now giving cyber criminals yet another place to hide. We're already dealing with enough of them on the clear web. We're already dealing with enough of them in our daily lives that we don't need them hiding somewhere else where it's even harder for law enforcement to get to them. And so for that reason, it's a good reason to help clean up the dark web, to get some of these negative forces off of the dark web so that we can maybe use it for good instead of evil.